Hey everybody, today we're doing octopuses, octopi, octopodes. All three are correct. They are all octopus in plural. Hello everyone, I'm Saul. Welcome to the Gauntlet. This is my series where I challenge myself artistically. I throw down the gauntlet at me, and then I pick up the gauntlet and accept my challenge. And today what we're doing is we're using pencil, which even though I use pencil all the time for pretty much everything I do, I always start with a sketch. The sketches have gotten lighter and lighter, and the reason for that is I'm usually doing ink or I'm doing paintings. And because I always want to better myself as an ink illustrator or as a painter, I am betting less and less on the sketch, so the sketches become lighter, less detailed, sometimes barely any shading. I really want to save all the definition and discovery of that in the next medium. Why don't I take some paper, do some reference, and just really go into some detail? So then I thought, why don't I do an octopus? There's like nothing out there like them. And I really wanted to build texture. And then in typical spirit of the Gauntlet, I went and found a picture that I thought was a little scary to try to capture. Now, an interesting thing, as I have said before, this paper, I really enjoyed. It was gifted to me, and it's got this beautiful, almost cloth paper parchment feel. As I was creating this, I pretty much found that I couldn't erase very much in it. If I go once on it, that's good. But if I go back, like we tend to do with erasing, is back and forth, it just starts to scrape off the paper. It's like a cat's tongue or something. And that became another part of this gauntlet. How well can I do this with as minimal erasing as possible? So I see that as kind of a gift.
The perennial first challenge of any art piece, the blank page. And challenge accepted. So why the Gauntlet series? Sometimes I enjoy watching videos where artists speak about challenging themselves, and that's all this is. The Salmanac is a series about following my imagination, the spirit of learning. I teach art. But the Gauntlet is where I'm stretching myself a bit, going into the unknown. So let's talk about this under-sketch that's happening right now. As you can see, I'm jumping around. It's non-committal, as it should be. Nothing is final. It's a light sketch. And I bring this up because this was all I was doing with pencil in general, with all my pieces. I wanted to do more again with it, explore pencil on its own. That's what brings us to this assignment. Usually when I do a pencil sketch, I have endeavored to make it as loose and free-flowing as possible, like what you see here. The key to a good under-sketch is that it is suggestive, but doesn't map every single detail. The pencil sketch or under-sketch should not be finished or polished. You want the painting or ink illustration on top of that to do the heavy lifting and bring all the detail. Or else, what's the point of an undersketch? As time has gone on, my pencil sketches proudly show less and less effort is needed to communicate my needs for what comes next. I used to make everything with the penciling. When I was ready to ink, there was almost no differentiation between the pencil lines and the ink lines. And then I'd erase the graphite and lament all that work gone, like a sand mandala, but sad rather than beautiful. Then you learn. You learn to give up control, let go, sketch out the basic visual story you're telling, then take the plunge and add the complexities of your next medium, which is much less forgiving than graphite. That's why you need the graphite for the sketch. This is freaky at first. It feels like a high wire act. You could screw it up at any time. And believe me, you do, sometimes. It's heartbreaking. Over the years, though, you get it. Sometimes it takes even less than a year, too. On the other hand, Mistakes can be never-ending, always around the corner. There's another big failure when you least expect it. But you learn tricks like happy accidents, adapting, and using mistakes to take things in another direction. How often you make these mistakes depends on the artist you want to be. If you niche down, as they say, you will begin to master your terrain quicker. The mistakes become more predictable and therefore easier to avoid. Sometimes, though, your niche doesn't push you as an artist, so then it's good to branch out. Another reason for this Gauntlet series. At this point, we're getting into rendering the many intricate facets of this body. It starts to become exciting and meditative as I bring my strokes from light and non-committal, as the undersketch was, to being final with the darker applied graphite of the drawing. This is taking me back to another time in my life. We used to have sketchbooks in high school, and the assignment was to draw a reference throughout the week, and we could draw some of our own things too. I had a lot of fun, and I loved my sketchbook. It was like a great and kind friend who always had time for me and my mind. I recalled those old sketchbooks. It was another time. Before I was taking to heart the challenge of a finished ink illustration or a finished painting, I used a sketch, and sketching became obsessive to me, became finished pencil drawings. I loved that. Bliss is a beautiful thing, and it should be followed. I miss the joy of rendering in pencil, and there is something gentle, calm, and stress-free about working in that way. You can go as detailed as you want, and the worst that can happen is that you can erase it and start over. Ironic that I'm saying I love that in a moment working on a piece where I can't erase, but still, it is what it is. Back to my thinking the other day. So then I thought I'd like to sketch another animal reference. What if I could just take a detailed reference from nature and travel far away into it? Explore the place like an octopus does in its new surroundings. That is what they do. They feel everything, literally. They take all those arms, all 8 of which are bursting with sensory acumen, and hold everything with simultaneous intelligence and processing power, sometimes racking their mysterious brain until at last they solve their puzzle. The arms are like their own brain extensions, sometimes 8. You could sever an arm, and it could change color according to its surroundings for about an hour. So I'm exploring the cephalopod as such a being explores its own environment. The pencil is bringing me a strange and easy sense of play, mapping things out. I play an exercise with myself here. I am like a playful octopus sketching an octopus. I have to admit, it feels like foreign territory. I never really created an octopus piece before. Everything feels new. The interesting thing, though, is that after a while, staring at it and rendering it, it almost hypnotizes you. The unknown begins to become known. That is an exciting moment. As I get to know this subject, I am seeing the past conceived octopus notions flashing through my head as well as the current ones. This is, I think, the most intelligent of all the invertebrates. Like so many people in the Gen X contingent who have seen new technologies and theories keep building upon the studying of this most intriguing of species, I have grown up with many differing thoughts of the octopus. I even once thought that its head was a big nose. I know I'm not alone. As a child, it was goofy and always made me laugh out loud. Look at its big old nose, ha. It still looks that way. It looks dopey when I see it like that. But then I change my thoughts and I see the big nose as a head, and it looks like a vastly intelligent alien. I thought it was a terrifying hunter better left alone because it would gobble me up with its beak. A beak! I was terrified by the giant squid in 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea, and whilst I still find squid among the most eerie things in the sea, the octopus attains a more serene and playful mystique. I still remember those old grainy Bill Burrid nature videos, and I would thrill to the octopus and its mortal foe, the ghastly moray eel locked in a terrible battle. Of course, having more and more information about them leads to learning about their camouflage. There are nocturnal deep-sea octopi and diurnal ones. It seems the diurnal octopuses developed a more complex pattern than did the nocturnes. The diurnal octopodes have a broader array of colors to use, and they can blend in easier with more things since they are effectively showered by light. They have to be. This makes them more susceptible to being discovered, and so the miracle of evolution and Mother Nature actually enhanced this ability. It's exciting to learn of a subject as you are creating it. You can almost feel its incredible mind working. It is capable of doing countless things quickly and simultaneously, and yet this piece has it floating, conserved and coyly through the waters. The octopus is the master of disguise. I say this because it not only disguises perfectly into its surroundings, it does so incredibly fast. Faster than the blink of an eye in some cases. Some species can only do one or a few shades of color at a time, whilst others can sport a vast spectrum of light and shadow to replicate a barnacled rock that will make the best counterfeit artist jealous. They replicate the effect of a cloud of haze as it passes through the water around them. As an artist, I am stunned by what it can accomplish coming up with the colors that it does, to attain the perfect likeness of the coral, rock, kelp, whatever it touches. What makes this even more amazing? This being, adept as it is at making dramatic color changes to its own pigment, it is also thought to be colorblind. How about that? The theory is that they're light sensitive. Kind of fitting that this one is black and white. The surface of the octopus skin is covered with skin cells that are among the most unique in the world. They have 3 layers of color-changing and reflective cells. The first layer does 3 colors, as does the middle layer, and then 3 or 4 more colors in the bottom layer. There's so much to this animal that it probably warrants another piece and another video. In the end, this was an enlightening exercise. The unforeseen development was that this paper did not allow for much erasing, but I felt that my skills of light and loose undersketches had helped me understand the terrain by the time I was finalizing the piece. I kept thinking, what if I now did something like this with ink, treated the pen like a simple pencil? But there's the rub. There's no rubbing the ink like you can with graphite. That is the other dimension to pencils. You can rub the paper. That is in some ways a form of erasing. It colors the page as well as clouds the area, and then you can start over. But you have an amazing way of filling space and creating light and shadow just with your fingertip or smudger. In lieu of erasing, I soon found I needed to fall back on this technique more. This was a gift too, as I generally don't use this technique, out of habit really. During this piece, I got it in my consciousness and I was coming to rely on it. So, now we have this intriguing octopus floating like a specter with wonderfully rendered skin in a black and white world, albeit perhaps the color palette that the octopus vision may actually be. I can't help being in awe of all the independence and intelligence within each arm and all the suction cups on the tentacles. When you draw or paint one of these, it's going to be intense in a wild way that is unlike a lot of things in nature. So, that is my experience discovering an octopus by way of the wonders of graphite. Hope it was a fun adventure for you as well. This has been another episode of The Gauntlet.
And there you have it, the beautiful, mysterious, vastly intelligent octopus that many would say is not of this world. Proud member of the octopuses, octopi, octopodes family. And I hope you got some value. Also, if you'd like to know more about what's happening in Ghosts in the Gaslight Land, you can subscribe to the Inbox of Curiosities. You get all kinds of great information. You're also automatically eligible to win things from me, maybe some freebies here and there too. You get to see the latest sketches. You get to hear the latest ghost stories, my haunted blog entries. You get to hear about cool offers and what else? Oh yeah, new film premieres. So absolutely love to hear your thoughts. My favorite is when I get to hear your experience of these films. Take care.